The Mariners just finished up a big homestand with a sweep of the Texas Rangers. Joe and I are going to go over the games in that series, and Joe grabbed a broom because it was a sweep. We're going to go over the games in that series, what went right for the Mariners, talk about some of the pitching performances from them, and Cal Raleigh with the torpedo bat we're going to talk about a little bit. And then we'll talk about Ben Williamson, who was just called up by the Mariners on Sunday. Interesting move, not one that I think either of us expected, but one that we could see his first start literally in Cincinnati, and I think we will. And then I'll give you guys my Operation Overreaction, which I think is a good one. If you guys were in stream yesterday, you've already heard it. And we'll wrap it all up by talking about the Cincinnati Reds series coming up starting on Tuesday. Thank you guys so much for watching episode 182 of the Hit It Here podcast, part of the Bleav Network. The Autumn, the Jordan Yoke, the Nate of the Fossils, the Mateo, and the Greg episode of the podcast. All of those guys have already purchased some of our Mariners Anonymous merch. You can find it in the link down below. And hey, are you going to a Mariners game during the next homestand? Well, if you are, make sure you use SeatGeek and use code Mariner Mojo at checkout for $20 off your first order. Make sure you're able to do that when you go through SeatGeek.com. And I'm here with Joe. Joe, how are you?
Feeling good. Feeling great. 2 series wins, the first 2 of the year, both coming against division rivals within the same homestand. The final being a sweep of the Texas Rangers. Feeling phenomenal. Had a good hour-long stream after the game today. Lots of people, good vibes just all around. I said it during the stream. I've said it a ton last year. The week-to-week parody of emotions that you can find throughout a full 162 is oftentimes hilarious. Last Sunday, we were getting swept by the Giants with Victor Robles exiting with a pretty rough injury. We were pretty frustrated last Sunday with the state of the team. 6 games later, only 2 series, 7 days. Vibes are high.
Very high.
And we're 8-8. Swept the Rangers. It started off on a good foot on Friday with a 5-3 W. That game started by Bryce Miller. Not his sharpest, but gets the job done, I guess. Bullpen does continue to lock it down outside of Mr. Trent Thornton.
Yeah.
Was it a tie game at that point?
No, that's what tied the game.
That's what I meant. Like,
oh yeah. After that home run, that was a tie game.
Got it.
Which I have to give some credit there to Josh Young. Great swing from him to be able to put that one out. Just goes to show how strong he is. But Trent Thornton, man, something about him and a lead just don't agree.
It held true in the final game, but we don't want to jump too far ahead. This 5-3 victory, I mean, the 2 runs in the bottom of the 8th from the Seattle Mariners. I wasn't watching this game because I was at work. How did we score those 2 runs, Colton?
That was a big 2-run blast from one Cal Raleigh. His first swing with the new torpedo bat, as we'll soon find out, that becomes kind of a trend in this series with that bat. But yeah, Cal in the bottom of the 8th inning, a big 2-run blast to give the Mariners a lead. They could turn it over to Andres Munoz in the 9th, who continued to be nails. The Mariners were able to take that one 5-3.
And Polanco, a 3-hit game in that one. Bro does not know. He doesn't know who he was last year. Completely forgot who 2024 Polanco is. 2025, he's here to stay. Second game. This is the game that I've been waiting for. This type of win. This type of victory. Didn't start off on the best foot. You tweet the again in the span of an hour, your vibes shifted immensely because the first inning was bad from the Mariners' perspective, but then a 4-run third. I mean, they were just were they just peppering Kumar Rocker the entire pretty much his entire start, right?
Yeah, the Mariners had I think in the first couple of innings 7 or 8 balls that were hard hit, so over 95 miles an hour. Some of them just weren't falling, but they eventually started to fall. We saw, obviously, the triple from Julio Rodriguez that got past Leody Taveras. We saw Rowdy Tellez nearly hit a triple. Shame we didn't get to see it, man. We could have seen the belly slap, and he would have been jazzed out of his mind had he been safe. Unfortunately, I don't think they did the chalk outline.
No.
Which is a bummer.
Adam was quick on the edit with that, though, on Twitter. Did you see it? Oh, my God. Adam Beckwith, literally, probably within 5 to 10 minutes after it happened, put out a tweet with cones, whatever, and then the chalk line of Rowdy. It was incredibly quick.
Yeah, so, I mean, fun game all around. Like you said, one that we've really been waiting for. The Mariners to put up 9 runs in this game, and they were able to hold the Rangers to just the 2 Brian Wu, after that first inning where he threw 30 pitches, ended up making it through 7. He struck out 7 on 6 hits, 1 earned run, and 1 walk, that walk being the very first hitter of the game. Eduardo Brizardo came in, pitched 1 inning, gave up 1 hit, and it was closed out by Gregory Santos, who gave up 2 hits and 1 earned run. Interesting conversation that may need to be had about Santos now that Troy Taylor, we know, was in the clubhouse after the game on Sunday. We know that he's going to be making the trip with them to Cincinnati, and there's a really good chance that a move will need to be made sooner rather than later, potentially even on Monday. I know that Santos has an option.
Yeah.
I think you might have to go with sending Santos down. But, Joe, let's talk about that here in a second. Let's talk about Game 3 instead.
It really wasn't sharp from Logan at the very front. Like, it was okay. He escaped some trouble. An RBI opportunity for Josh Young at the very beginning of the game, but he gets by, and it ends up being okay. The bottom of the inning, you're thinking maybe Nate Eovaldi gets through the same idea. Maybe a couple base runners, a little bit of traffic. No! Cal Raleigh instead goes down and golfs one out to right field. Another torpedo homer. This is the 3rd game in a row. Mike Ian Stream said he's going for 9.
He's going for 9, setting the record.
So
That's right.
The Mariners do manage. I mean, a pitcher that I would not have expected them, based on how he's pitched so far this year, to be able to handle. I mean, they got Nate Eovaldi out after 5 innings. I mean, yeah, it was only 5 hits, 2 earned, 3 strikeouts. Like, it's not like this impressive line, but it's not like an impressive feat from the Mariners offense either. But able to work through, battle there, and get some early runs on the board where Logan could then kind of cruise the rest of the day. But again, more pitch trouble, like more pitch count troubles, I feel like, for Logan. And going back to Bryce's start too, like, it just, the efficiency hasn't entirely been there, but I'm sure that's just early season kind of like working that stuff through. Luckily for us, the bullpen has been good and was not used extensively so far in this series.
Which is something they needed.
Yes.
Because the bullpen was heavily taxed over the past couple of series between, of course, like the Giants series, for example, even the Astros series.
Yep.
And for the guys like Brian Wu to come out and throw 30 pitches in the first inning and be able to still eat up 6 more innings, like that saved the pen for today, where Logan was only able to go 5. He did strike out 7, but then Gabe Spire, 1 inning pitch, zeros across the board. Carlos Vargas, 1 inning pitched with 1 strikeout. Trent Thornton, an inning pitched, held the lead, by the way, with 1 strikeout. And Andres Munoz, 1 hit with 2 Ks. That last pitch being a beauty from Andres. I'm not going to lie, Gabe Spire and Andres Munoz, they should both be, like, all-stars right now.
Yeah, if the All-Star game was tomorrow, would they be the 2 Mariners All-Stars? There'd be 3. There'd be 3. It'd be them 2 and then Jorge Polanco.
And Brian Wu.
And sure, I mean, yeah, starting pitching, there's only a handful that you can do.
Yeah, I mean, relievers, Gabe Spire probably wouldn't make it because he's not a closer.
Yeah, I guess it'd probably be Munoz, Wu, and Polanco if we had
to guess.
If we had to go that way. Offense didn't look nearly as polished in the Sunday finale as opposed to the Saturday night game, but a win is a win. They sweep the American League West leading Rangers. I think they're still technically on top because the Angels are also 9-7. So 8-8. I mean, you're only a game back of the American League West lead. Everyone's just kind of been mid to start the year, but again, a sweep and 2 back-to-back series wins, especially against division rivals in the economy of the 2025 season that it was up until those 2 series. This is exactly what the Mariners needed to kind of hopefully get things going in the right direction.
Yeah, the Rangers are now, 8-35 at T-Mobile Park since 2020?
Owned.
Except for you, Josh. I'm sorry.
He wasn't there in stream.
He wasn't there yesterday either. He was there for the first one. He wasn't there yesterday.
He knew.
I'm like, oh, Josh, I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm honestly like, the Rangers offense, I was shocked at how bad they looked in this entire series. They scored 1, 2, 4 runs in 3 games?
No, 5 runs.
5 runs?
They scored 3 in the first game. Yeah. But still.
Nonetheless.
Pretty anemic.
It was bad. And like the Astros were a lot harder to face than the Rangers were. The Mariners played ahead for the entirety of this series, which is the first time they've done that all year. It had never felt like they were playing from ahead. It always felt like they were playing catch up. And this was a big statement series for them. And I think that's really important as we move forward into a Cincinnati Reds series and a tough 3-city road trip, 10 games, I think it is, on this road trip. The Mariners are going to be gone for a little while. they come back home, have 2 series, and are right back on the road as well. And so the Mariners have played most of their games at home so far, except for the 1 series down in San Francisco. They've played all their games at home. That's about to change here as we end April and into the month of May. The schedule's going to kind of flip the other way, and the Mariners are going to be spending a lot of time on the road. So that's going to be a tough go for a lot of those guys. But overall, the momentum of this team shifted when Randy Arozarena hit that grand slam in that game where they had no business winning. And then, of course, they were able to walk it off with that walk. Joe, a team with momentum like this, how big can that be for a upcoming road trip?
I mean, the word that comes to mind is massive.
Massive.
And not ironic or any situation. It's one where they really needed to get it done, and they really needed to lock in and really focus and put together an all-around winning series. I'd say, yes, you won the Astros series, but that one still felt like you left some on the table.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
They probably should have swept it.
Probably should have swept it. This Rangers series, there was never a moment I felt like where they were in the driver's seat the entire time. Having that kind of momentum going into a road trip, feeling like you're in control of the game, you have more power over the game than maybe you had in previous series where you're playing from behind or you're always on the back foot. Feeling that momentum going forward should only propel this team to where we thought that they could be.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that they have showed anything outside of these 2 series that is super inspiring, but using this as like the litmus test of the what have you done for me recently, they've done about just everything that we could have asked for, especially going 5-1 against division rivals.
Yeah, the division rivals, those are the teams that you need to beat, because if you can make the playoffs and still be like a 500 team as long as you beat everyone else in your division, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it comes to what this team has done so far this year, they've beat the teams that they probably needed to beat the most. Now, like you said, there's a lot of games where they left something on the table. That second game against the Rangers in the extra inning game, the
Astros.
That's it, Rangers. Yeah, the Astros. The Mariners should have won that game. Same with the extra innings game against the Giants, honestly. They probably should have won that game as well. But overall, like you mentioned, the vibes are in just a lot better place than they were a week ago, which scares me because that means the vibes in a week could be really bad.
Yeah.
But this is something like I needed it, man. I think we both needed it just to. And interestingly enough, we're undefeated in the Mariners Anonymous merch lifetime, which is interesting. Because
they don't want us to hold Mariners Anonymous anymore.
The merch is about like us dealing with bad Mariners losses, and since we released the merch, the Mariners haven't lost. So very funny, haha. I feel like the merch might sell better when we lose because people are like, hi. Interesting move though made by the Mariners. So we know that Troy Taylor is going to be coming back up into this bullpen. We talked about it a little bit. It could be Gregory Santos. It could be Casey Legomina. I don't think he's pitched at all.
He didn't pitch. No.
And so it's like, do they just DFA him? I don't think he has options. And so if they were to just DFA him, it seems kind of like a waste bringing Troy Taylor back. Again, Gregory Santos is a guy with an option. But another move the Mariners made was bringing up Ben Williamson, third baseman, defensive whiz, and sending down Dominic Canzone. An interesting choice. I don't think any of us were expecting it. It makes sense with Jorge Polanco obviously needing to. This basically solidifies the fact that he's going to be the DH moving forward. Jorge Polanco is. Mm-hmm. You have to get his bat in the lineup. Over at third base, it's probably going to be some combination of Miles Mastroboni and Ben Williamson, in my opinion. Mastroboni versus the right-handed pitchers, Ben Williamson maybe versus the lefties. Second base will probably be Dylan Moore and Leo Rivas, and that's just kind of what we're going to be seeing, with Luke Raley seeing a lot of time out there in right field. And so calling up Ben Williamson was an interesting move because I think Tyler Locklear made a lot of sense as well, but just based on the positional versatility this team needs right now, I guess I get it. Yeah. But you could have moved Solano over to third, but they'd probably rather have the defense of Ben Williamson, who can win you some games just with that alone.
Given how poor also Solano has been at the plate, that moving him to third to get his bat in the lineup more isn't something that I feel like they're all too concerned about, especially if the bat's not playing very well and then the defense is also going to be subpar. You know what I mean? So what?
I'm just saying, I tweeted it.
Yeah, I handed in my Donnie Barrels defense card membership. I don't have to worry about any repercussions. I handed it in. I returned it, and I understand that his spot on this roster is likely the most expendable and the highest chance to change, with Samad Taylor waiting down in Tacoma and playing well and providing you probably more versatility and more value on speed and defense alone. So I don't want to, we're not here to talk about, we're here to talk about Ben Williamson right now. Okay. You're literally egging me on with your facial expressions. Like, you're doing it intentionally.
I'm just saying, Donovan Solano, the only reason he's on this team is to hit.
In 15 plate appearances, or at-bats.
19.
15 at-bats then.
Oh, okay. Worse than Tommy LaStella.
So far. And will he get the chance to be better? We'll never know.
I kind of hope not.
Just go down as another just memeable signing.
Which sucks because he seems like a pretty nice dude. But
yeah.
Anyway, you were talking about Ben Williamson.
Yeah, I was. I don't really care anymore. So. We know he is a glove first player, and the bat is not something that you're super, I guess, excited about. Yes, he's had positive WRC pluses in the previous seasons in 2023 and 2024, but in 2025, it is below average as it stands in his, 12 or 13 games that he's played in Tacoma. So,
which is interesting because he's hitting like 280 something, but his OPS is like, I think like a 5, maybe 600.
His ISO was .033 when I checked his Fangraphs page today.
Oh.
It is bad. Not striking out a ton down in Tacoma, 15%, but also not walking at all, like at 3%. So a lot of just putting the ball in play, but not for a ton of power. With speaking about like Locklear versus him, the defense at third and just like how much of a hole you have at third base, given that Polanco was taking reps at second base. Like I don't know if they trust him over there at third, given what they saw in like the 10 games. I really don't know, like long term, what that looks like for him. Having Williamson allows Dylan Moore to go play a more natural position for him at second base, which I think is better. Mastroboni, if he's seeing the bulk of it from obviously the strong-sided platoon part, I think it's fine. He's hitting the ball well. He's still playing well. I haven't noticed anything bad defensively, but I also haven't been able to watch a ton of games with him at third specifically. But I mean, Williamson, sometimes he also was playing shortstop a handful of times in the previous 2 years. So he could kind of pick it there too if like JP randomly needs a day off or something if you really needed to. But they'd probably go Rivas there first or Dylan Moore first. But the excitement around Ben Williamson is that it's a touted prospect, a pretty highly touted prospect.
13th?
13th in the system, drafted at the 57th pick of the second round in 2023. Same draft as Emerson, Pete, and Farmello. So it's like that class... there's like lofty expectations for them. Williamson being the least, but he's the first to arrive because of, he's 24 years old. He's not a high school draftee. He was a senior at Williams & Mary, played in the Cape Cod League, hit 390, I think, in both of those in his senior season. The dude can hit. It's just, will he adapt to major league caliber pitching, and how will that look? Is he going to be doubles? Is it just going to be kind of base hits? If he is just Josh Rojas, that is still a positive player because he plays good defense. And the bat, yes, there will be moments, but it's not going to be pretty. And we're not. And the thing I think that's the best situation for him is that the expectations, specifically offensively, are not very high.
Right.
And the bar for him to succeed is relatively low. If he exceeds expectations by hitting 250 with like an OPS around 700,
I'm in.
That's great because he's going to provide value for you defensively. I don't think he's a great runner necessarily, like where Rojas was like a decent runner, not
He's above average.
Above average, right? So like there's a little bit of like a concession there. But Williamson on this roster, I hope they play him. I hope he sees time, because if it's just him getting called up to kind of ride pine, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
You'd rather just call up Samad Taylor in that situation. But regardless, it's an exciting time for Ben Williamson to be around the club. Obviously, vibes are high with him joining today and then them getting a sweep. Like, being around that atmosphere has got to be amazing for him as a player, and just like what that looks developmentally. It's just, what can you look for him as playing time? I expected a pinch hit today, and he didn't get it.
Yeah, I was shocked. It was at the 6th inning or something like that, where like I think Rowdy was coming up. They did pitch in Solano there,
and Mastroboni saw him at bat against a
maybe.
lefty.
Yeah.
So maybe they didn't want his debut to be a pinch hit. Maybe they want it to be a start, which we'll talk about when we get to the Red series.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting because when the Mariners made the move to bring up Dominic Canzone with Victor Robles going on the injured list, this is something that I think I harped on quite a bit. Like, why are we bringing up A, another lefty, B, an outfielder when you get to send Luke Raley out there, and C, why Dominic Canzone? That should have been Tyler Locklear. But I was talking about how it should have been Tyler Locklear or Ben Williamson coming up as a right-handed bat, because we've seen versus left-handed pitching, this team has been pretty pedestrian. And maybe that's, I mean, I don't have the numbers to back that up. I haven't looked, but it just feels that way. And so when it comes to calling up Ben Williamson, like you said, he's not going to be, you know, the guy who's going to hit the cover off the ball, but he's going to give you a decent chance out there. And for Dominic Canzone, he's not a good defender. He just needed to be able to hit, and he didn't show that he could hit. And he was redundant on this roster, so it just did not make sense to have him up. I think that Ben Williamson, bringing him up, it's an interesting call. I think it's the right call. You mentioned it is the first player to make his major league debut that was drafted while we were covering the team. Mm-hmm. So the 23 and the 24 drafts are the two drafts we've covered on this channel. Ben Williamson's the first player that will make his major league debut since the time we started this channel. And so, yeah, it's kind of fun. Yeah. It's just a little interesting.
A little nugget of information. Yeah. And I think that's consistent for a lot of our peers as well. Like, I mean, out maybe Colby and Ty for Locked On if they were really covering the 2022 draft, but also they've got longer ties with doing content previous to podcasting. Maybe Brady as well. I'm not sure how long he's been with SI necessarily, but yeah, it's an interesting thing. I don't know if anyone has a similar sentiment that's like in the creator space, but I think it's just kind of cool.
We have to talk about my Operation Overreaction.
Well, of course.
And it's a good one this time, where I feel like the last couple have been not great.
What do you mean? My last one?
No, I'm saying mine. My last couple.
You're in the positive Patty.
I'm going to be positive Patty today.
No negative Nancy. Got it.
The Mariners will have 2 top 10 Cy Young finalists, but the player on the Mariners that will finish the highest is Brian Wu.
Yeah. I think that makes sense given the topic of the stream that you said you revealed this in. Someone today in stream said, how long are we going until we admit that Brian Wu's the best pitcher on this team? And I kind of like conceded, well, what about Munoz? And it's obviously we're talking about starting pitching, right? I said, if everything is continuing the way it has, expected through, like not, what am I trying to say? If everything continues how it has, basically is what I just said, into June, Brian was the best starter on the team. Mm-hmm. I think if you give me like 2 months of sample of really just every fifth day, he's giving you the best chance to win. He has elevated his game enough to pass Logan Gilbert. I think is the only pitcher I'd say he is not as good as right now. Castillo's looked great. Yeah. But I think everyone going into the year had Castillo as the 5th starter, pretty much. Right. 5th on a very good 5. You know, it's a very good pitching staff to be a part of. Wu being the highest finisher, given what we've seen, not an overreaction because he has been, I'd say, looked like he has the stuff to be the most dominant night in and night out.
Yeah, I think that he kind of proved that last year coming back from injury too, as he was, going basically 6 innings every single night. Mm-hmm. Like no one else on the staff has been able to do what he has done so far this year. And I think that Brian Wu with his pitch repertoire gives you a really good chance every single night that he's out there to not have to kill your bullpen. If they're able to get a few runs, he's not going to walk a bunch of guys. You're going to be able to trust Brian Wu to be the guy to get you a victory that day. And I think, again, we saw that last year in 2024. So, yeah, Brian Wu, he's going to be, maybe he even is the Cy Young. Thoughts on that?
That would be the overreaction I think I was expecting to hear, is that Brian Wu will win the Cy Young. Who's the second one, in your opinion, then? That was maybe where I might find a bit more curious, if that makes sense. Like, who is it going to be instead?
It's either Logan Gilbert, but I almost want to say it's Andres Munoz.
We're going to get like a reliever kind of class thing. I mean, he's 6 for 6 in saves. He's looked really good.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. Overreaction, again, I might give you a 1. I think a lot of people are bought into that idea. And especially given, a lot of baseball fans, and myself included sometimes. What have you done for me lately, crowd? What has Brian Wu done for us lately? Given us the best chance to win night in and night out. He is the best starting pitcher on the staff as it stands.
He just has to stay healthy. It's the biggest thing for him. Someone who I think could win the National League Cy Young goes crazy is one Nick Lodolo of the Cincinnati Reds, who's going to be pitching Game 1, Jackie Robinson Day, by the way. He'll be opposed by Luis Castillo, who, like you mentioned, has looked really good. Nick Lodolo is a lefty.
Yep.
This game's at 3:40 on Tuesday, by the way, 3:40 Pacific time. So he's a left-handed pitcher. I would assume that we do see Ben Williamson in this start.
Yeah. I was talking about it on stream because a lot of people are asking, like, what do we think about the Cincinnati series? And I didn't want to go into it too in-depth because, obviously, hello, we have a podcast. Don't want to reveal my hand too much. But Ben Williamson's going to start this game. He's going to be the third baseman. I was kind of tinkering with the idea of where he's going to bat. And I was like, yeah, he'll probably bat 7th or 8th, and Dylan Moore will bat 7th or 8th. But then I remembered they had Dylan Moore leading off against Framber. So maybe Dylan Moore's in the leadoff spot again. And that leaves Ben Williamson probably relegated. I mean, similar vibes, 7th or 8th, with JP batting 9th.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Ben Williamson should get his first major league action in this game on Tuesday opposite Nick Lodolo, who you teased as the National League site. Hunter Green better. But Lodolo's got a .96 ERA. He's 2-1 on the year, but he's only struck out 8 batters. He's not missing a lot of bats, which could bode well for the Mariners, but also could bode well as like the opposite, like reverse psychology. He hasn't struck anybody out, but the Mariners are going to strike out 18 times, kind of a thing. This is a game where you look at how both pitchers are doing to start the year. Castillo returning to his home, essentially, his hometown park, the park that he grew up in, the park that Luis Castillo built. I'm just kidding.
Whoa.
He built the Great American Ballpark. I think it'll be a nice, like, reunion kind of vibe, like him on the bump there. I don't think he pitched in did he pitch against them in 2023?
I don't remember.
In Cincinnati?
I can tell you that, not shockingly, most of the team has not seen him. So,
which makes me think that he didn't.
I don't think he did because all the guys that are on here weren't on the Reds last year. So, the Reds. I mean, they've seen. I think the most at bats is 8, and that's Heimer Candelario, which makes sense. He's hitting 250 versus him. Yeah. Otherwise, Lou Trevino, no, Jose Trevino.
Whoa,
Jose Trevino is hitting 250 and 8 ABs, so not a whole lot there. However, against Nick Lodolo, only one player on the Mariners has seen him. And that is one Randy Arozarena, who's hitting 667 in 6 at-bats with 2 home runs and 2 RBIs.
2 solo shots.
So look for a big game from one Randall Arozarena here versus Nick Lodolo in Game 1. I'm kind of feeling pretty good about that.
There's certain guys to kind of key in on matchups for. I like that the strikeouts aren't super high for Lodolo, so maybe the Mariners will be able to put the ball in play, give Ben Williamson a chance to get his first knock if he's not missing barrels a ton. And I mentioned Williamson posting like a 15% strikeout rate so far in Tacoma, so seems like he's able to put the bat on the ball pretty well there. The thing that I'm the most curious about is the Reds are 8-8. The Mariners are 8-8. We saw the Reds historically get shut out in a sweep. 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. And that got me thinking, how bad have the Reds been offensively to start the year? How bad do we think the Mariners are to start the year, right? Like subpar, but like, WRC Plus would say, oh, they're right around league average. 102 WRC Plus on the year, live stats, full season on Fangraphs. 13th, middle of the road. The Cincinnati Reds, same record as the Seattle Mariners, have a 65 WRC Plus on the year. Bad.
Bad?
Bad. They're 28th in all of baseball. 24% strikeout rate, 7% walk rate. It's like fine. Like Mariners are walking 3% better, striking out 1% less. Like it's nothing crazy. It's just the Reds are hitting 200. They're not getting on base. They're getting on base at a 272 clip, and they're not really slugging a ton either at 320. The Mariners have a better offensive team, which is something that is scary to say out loud. We're not used to this. And then you look to the pitching side. Team ERA, live stats full season. The Reds have a sub-3 ERA. They're third in all of baseball at a 2.87. The Mariners, I mean, again, not as good, but not bad. They're 3-5-4, ninth, top 10. The advantage team-wise goes to the Mariners in this series, just based on stats up to this season, up to like this point in the season alone. Will that see with how putrid the Reds' offense has been? Is this like a get-right start for Bryce Miller?
I hope so. It needs to be, because he's gonna be opposed by Nick Martinez, and I think that Martinez obviously hasn't had a great year. For Bryce Miller, he needs to be able to find the strike zone. He needs to show some command of those pitches, because that is the thing that's been holding him back so much, like the most, over the past, basically since the start of the season. We have not seen Bryce Miller look like himself since spring training, and I don't know what he's fighting in his command, if it's a mechanical thing or what's going on with him. Maybe he's got a blister for all I know. I have no idea, but it has to be a series or a game for Bryce where he goes in there knowing how bad they're struggling, and he needs to go in there and take advantage of that. When we look at how the Reds have been versus him, again, Bryce is young, so not a lot of guys have faced him. Ellie De La Cruz does have a home run in 5 at-bats versus him, hitting 400, and so does Gavin Lux. He also has a home run in just 2 at-bats. Again, not a lot of seeing Bryce Miller so far in the career for these guys. Versus Nick Martinez, same story. The Mariners haven't really seen him that much. The only person with the home run is Rowdy Tellez. In 9 at-bats, he's hitting 444 with about a 1,400 OPS.
Nice.
Otherwise, everyone else, the most at-bats is JP. So, not a whole lot to write home about there. Neither guy has been seen a whole lot by the opposing team. But yeah, Bryce, I think, is the better pitcher between the two of them.
Yeah.
He just needs to come out there and kind of remember who he is. Because when Bryce Miller is going right, he can be one of the best pitchers in baseball. And we just haven't seen it yet in 25.
His bestie on the team, Brian Wu,
Future Cy Young Award
winner, who has shown that he is one of the best pitchers in baseball this year. He is living up to that expectation. He gets the nod in Game 3 on Thursday, which, programming note, it's a 9:40 a.m. Pacific time. We're not doing the pod Wednesday. We're going to do it Thursday after that game and then upload it that night at whenever it gets done. It'll probably be around 4-ish, 5-ish. But expect the Hit It Your Podcast episode 183 Thursday night instead of Thursday morning. Wu is opposed by Brady Singer, traded from the Royals in the offseason for Jonathan India. And he's doing better than I would have expected. I think that, I don't know if it's a change of scenery, if maybe the blow up start just hasn't happened for him yet. But Singer 3-0 on the year, a 3.18 ERA. That's good.
When they were trading Jonathan India for him, I was like, I think the Reds are kind of making out like bandits here, because I think India, we always talk about how India is overrated, but
sure,
Singer's a guy that I've always thought had the opportunity to be one of the better starting pitchers in baseball. He just has not shown it, but so far with the Reds, he has looked that good, and the Mariners have seen him quite a bit. 10 at-bats for Randy Arozarena. He's just hitting 100, just one hit for him, although there were 2 RBIs attached to it. Dominic Canzone hitting 400. Not on the team anymore, so
yeah.
Doesn't matter. Luke Raley has 1 home run and 8 at-bats. He's hitting 500. Cal has a home run versus him, but the most at-bats against Brady Singer goes to one Jorge Polanco, who in 27 at-bats is hitting 296 with a 906 OPS with 2 home runs and 5 RBI. So look for Polo to maybe take Mr. Brady Singer deep here in the Great American Small Park, because we know it's not hard to do, especially for a left-handed hitter.
I wonder. So in that final game, what do you expect the series to go the first 2 games? Like, which one is the coin flip that will decide you win the series or not, do you think? Is it
Game 2.
You think it's Game 2? So you think if you win Game 2, you win the series?
Yes.
Okay. So you think we're going to Castillo will either outduel Nick Lodolo, or Brian Wu will outduel Brady Singer, or maybe it comes down to a bullpen situation. The Mariners have a 3.05 team ERA as a reliever standpoint so far this year. They've pitched 65 innings. It's best for 5th in all of baseball in terms of team ERA. The Reds, they're right behind them at a 3.23 ERA. So the Reds bullpen's been good in 47 1/3 innings, so not having to be used as much. I think the Reds pitching prowess is largely backed by Green and Lodolo so far. So you only see one of them If you saw Hunter Green in this series too, it might have been, you might have lost this one. But I think I agree. If you win the Miller start, you have a good chance of winning the series by pro- probably Brian Wu, in my opinion.
I think that the Brian Wu start versus Brady Singer, yeah, I just feel a lot better about that one. You get the Mariners left-handed lineup out there instead of the right-handed lineup versus the lefty and Nick Lodolo, who, again, Ben Williamson will probably be making his first start. We can't expect a whole lot out of that. You're probably going to see, Dylan Moore out there. You won't see, more than likely, a Rowdy.
You'll see Mitch Garver.
You'll see Mitch Garver, and you'll see Donovan Solano.
Woohoo!
Like, that offense makes me kind of want to throw up my mouth a little bit. Save us, Ben Williamson, please. Please save the right-handed lineup because they really need it. When you have Donovan Solano and Mitch Garver out there, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure, in my opinion. Luis, again, is on the mound, making his return back to the Great American Small Park. I mean, he's very familiar, obviously, and he's had a great start to the season so far, so I think he'll be fine, but I do think that Lodolo just outduels him in this game.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, on that note, we're going to go ahead and just wrap this thing up because I'm uncomfortable. Thank you guys so much for watching episode 182 of the Hit It Here podcast, the whatever the hell that was episode, and go Mariners.